Well, hello there, all you party people. Welcome to another great show. We have an awesome show tonight. I am so excited to talk to these guys. I got a preview of the book. It's hilarious. I laughed just on the first page of it. It's got some good stuff in it. They've got previews on the Kickstarter and some cool stuff and an awesome story, and I can't wait to hear it. So, without further ado, I'm going to bring out John Williams. What's going on, John? Your mic's off again, bud. And we've also got Ben.
That's because his audio is all on coming through me.
There we go. Ben was controlling my audio. He's got an iron grip on
Yeah, you can't leave me out, or you won't get John either.
it. But to answer your question, I'm doing very well. It's a nice, chilly California evening.
Your audio's messed up again, John.
Oh man, what? Can you hear me? Okay.
I can hear you, Ben. You're fine. Let me take him out for a second. Can you hear me all right now?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Can you hear John? John, say something.
Check. Hello.
What is going on with this thing? It's going crazy. Technological difficulties, right?
Yeah, 21st century.
Are we working now?
What is going on tonight?
Ben, tell them I say this is a bad first impression.
Yeah.
There we go. Now it's working fine. What is going on here?
All right.
Yeah.
Are we in?
We're good.
All right. Sorry.
No, it's not your fault. Like StreamYard and everything's just been going crazy, and I don't know if it's our mics or what exactly is going on, but hey, we're past it. We're over the hump. We've got all the technical difficulties out of the way for the night. So
We did it.
we did it. Yes. So you guys had this project. You know, the way that I read it on the thing, it said you guys have had this idea for several decades, and you've churned over ideas, and you eventually came back to this, which was one of your first creations. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, we've known each other for going on 30 years, 25 to 30 years. We met when we were kids.
27 or something.
Yeah. And we've always farted around creating things, whether it's little stories or comics or little videos or, burning action figures when we were little kids. But it was, in our late teens, early 20s, we wanted to create a pitch for Adult Swim. That was in the early boom with like Harvey Birdman and Aqua Teen Hunger Force. We just wanted to do a goofy space comedy. And that was where we first thought of Space Oddities. And we designed some characters, and, it sort of just fell to the side because it takes a lot of work to make an animated pitch. And
we were a couple of 20-something stoners who were not really great at following through on anything. So,
man, Aqua Teen Hunger Force was awesome. I love Frylock and Meatwad. That was one of the greatest shows on freaking Adult Swim, man. I love that.
That whole era was pretty good.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, so I guess over the years, we've like you said, we've created other stories. We've done some little comic books here and there, stories in anthology series and stuff. But we always would drop back in on this every couple of years, and have a couple drinks and sit around and be like, okay, we should do it, and then it just fall to the wayside. And Ben moved away for several years, and he moved back to town, and we sort of dusted it off, and we're like, okay, you know what? I think we actually have something. We've created some comics now. We're competent, and we are confident in what we can put out. So I think the planets aligned, and we just decided that now was the right time.
Yeah, when I got back, we started doing the podcast together, and so we were spending a bunch of time working on that, and then we just sort of, while we were hanging out doing that, we kind of melded minds on what we wanted to do with this, and said, what the hell, let's do it. We've already gotten rid of enough of our free time. Let's kill off the rest of it.
Yeah, and that's the hard thing too. Everybody has regular jobs, and it's like, this is kind of like, it's not a hobby. Time wise, it has to be a hobby, but it's something that you're passionate about and you want to create. And it's like, how do I find time to do this and do it well, but still be able to have family life and a job at the same time. And it takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of effort. And it takes a lot of passion to be able to get to the point where you're like, we're doing this, this is our time. We're going to put this together. We're going to go out there and we're going to do it. We're going to put everything behind it. And you guys are doing awesome. I mean, you guys got 11 days left to go. And since, before we got on live, you guys bumped up. You're now at 70 backers and at $4,020 of that $4,500 goal. So, congratulations.
Now.
Are we?
Yeah.
All right, we made it. Yeah, we've made the mistake of sort of like counting the percentage points now. Like at first we were just sort of like, okay, let's just watch it, let's see what happens. Now we're like, oh shit, we're getting towards the end of the campaign and we're getting closer to the goal. So it's like, oh, like every little bit that comes in, we get all excited. We're like, all right, we're gonna make it.
Well, and I made the joke like a few days ago. I was like, oh, we're at 14% left and 14 days to go. We only need 1% a day. And then like for the last 4 days, it's been like 1% a day. And I was like, oh shit. What have I done?
What have I done?
Yeah, we had like a day where it didn't go and we're like, oh no, now we're behind. And then a day where 2 went and we're like, all right, okay, we're still good. We're on track.
Yeah, it's one of those things I keep telling myself. It's like, podcast listen numbers, it's what, you can't dwell on it. You can't just check on it all the time. And so like, I try and limit myself to checking it like once a day and kind of seeing what's going on. But especially as it's getting closer and closer to the end here, that is becoming more and more difficult not to just, have it lord over me.
Well, and it's one of those things. It's like, it's been a project for 20 years, decades. You guys said you've been working on this for a few decades. So almost 20 years. And it's like you kept getting around, you kept getting together, you kept having drinks and getting together, and you're like, we're gonna do this, and they're like, oh, no, we're not. There's a lot of work, and and then it's like you finally do it, and it's like, oh my gosh, we actually did this. Is it gonna make it? And it's like you can't go in with that mindset. It's like you got to go. We're gonna make it. And like now is kind of a bad time. You got the holidays, and you got everything going on. Some people are not going. Traveling, to be with families for holidays, and like there's like I think almost 100 Kickstarters ending this week, so everybody's scrambling to try to rush to back everything before it ends. And
no, you don't want to launch a Kickstarter like during Christmas. That just seemed like a bad idea, and we're like, well, we don't want to wait until after Christmas either.
Yeah, so. No, I totally understand. I mean, I launched mine last week, so I was hoping to try to get mine together and do it in October. That way it would run over October into November. But, cards didn't play right. And I set my original date as November and told everybody November. And I'm glad I did because, the stars didn't align. We had a lot of stuff going on around here. Like you guys, I had, stuff that's gotten in the way over the last several years. And this year's been no different for anybody.
No, it's been an odd one. Nothing's been normal. So
yeah. And the same thing happened to us. Like we kept pushing the campaign back month by month. We didn't set a solid date because we were just like, okay, we're not prepared for this. Once we got into it, we're like, holy shit, we are not prepared. and then eventually we had to set the date of November 1st, and we had to work our asses off just to make sure we hit it. It was not ideal. I think next time we run a campaign, we'll be much better prepared. We'll start a lot earlier.
So now Dan Oliveira, he did the art for the book, correct?
Dan is the colorist.
The colorist. Okay.
Yeah. Ben and I write it together, and then I do the line art.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we found Dan, who I think I saw he's in here.
Yeah, he's on YouTube.
Yeah, I had spotted his stuff months ago on Facebook in one of the comic book colorists groups there. And I saw some Star Wars samples he did, and like it immediately to me, I was like, that's exactly what I want. Like that is what I'm looking for here. Because I mean, it's my baby, so I guess I'm a little overbearing and picky. I've got it in my head. I just don't have the skill to put it out. And I hit him up, and he just didn't have the time to take on a project. So we moved on. We tried out a couple other colorists, and it didn't work out. And then I circled back around to him, and he had time for it. And I mean, I'm not joking. I've told this story before. It is 100% true. When I got the first page back from him, like my eyes welled up. Like it was an emotional experience because it was exactly what I was looking for. It was what I was hoping for. So I'm so stoked to have him on board, and I can't wait to see what the entire book looks like. Yes, that's how words work.
Hey Jack, thanks for joining, buddy. So yeah, I mean that's one of the greatest things about having your baby is it's like you get this idea and it comes into fruition, but it's like you don't really the whole time it's going on, you don't have like an end product that you can look at and go, holy crap, this is way better than I imagined it could ever be. And, it was the same way for me. I wrote this book 10 years ago. It's 900 pages and I wanted to split it into a trilogy. But it's like, when I sent out and I was like, hey, do you want to do a piece of this book? And I questioned a bunch of people, and it's like you get that artwork back and it's done and it's colored and it's just like, we created this. This is awesome.
Mm-hmm. It's a real thing.
It's a real thing. Yeah. You've been telling people for years that this thing's going to exist. And they're like, wait, where's this book you've been telling us about?
Yeah. And I've only ever done black and white comics in the independent books that we've done in the past. And cause I just don't feel confident enough with colors. So, if worse came to worse, we could put something out in gray tones like the cold open you read. But, I really wanted to go full color with this. There's an extra dimension that you don't get otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really brings it to life and makes it feels more like a comic book. Like, I mean, nothing against black and white comic books. I love a lot of good black and white comic books, but brilliant color is something special. Like it definitely feels different. Feels more real to me.
So what was the actual end moment? What was the defining thing that happened that you guys finally said, let's do this. Let's go.
That's a good question. I mean, like we'd kind of screwed around a bit, and like when we wrote the cold open and kind of like, and we did like had a couple really good spitball and story idea issues where like I think we both landed in a place where we were like, okay, this is a story we like. This will be fun. And I think this is a cool place where we can take these characters that we've been talking about for a decade. And then John decided to start drawing it, which I think made the big difference. Cause like I am not an artist, so I can't really do a whole lot. Like on one of our previous comics, I tried to help out doing colors and stuff. Of note, I am like red-green colorblind. So I make very poor color decisions.
Well, and that's one thing about coloring comic books that like I can color something in Photoshop if I need to, but I'm not even satisfied with what I can do. And there's so much more that goes into it than anybody even knows. Like there's so much skill required to do that. Like I'll look at Dan's colors and I don't even understand the process. And I'm no schlub, but my coloring skills are much more rudimentary. But just to see all the gradients and like the nuance and of the light and shade, it's
like from being given Crayolas and coloring a picture to somebody giving you Copics or Prismacolors and you coloring a picture and going, wow, there's a whole new world out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing what some of these digital artists can do. Hey, Danny. Yeah, only coloring exploding blue balls. Here we go. Now we're going to get that started up. So if you guys don't know, if you start seeing exploding blue balls and all that stuff pop up, it's a huge joke from one of the shows that we had before. I did a pyro show where we had one of the boxes explode and the tubes laid out and there was exploding blue balls flying all over the cow field and the cows were running for their lives. So it's now become a huge joke about exploding blue balls studios. So I ran with it, and now I do on Saturdays Russ or Blue Balls reviews with your host Harry Sachs. So it's when you got something good and you strike gold, you run with it, right?
Yeah, lean into it.
Waiting for Trish to get home. Oh, hey Smithers, I didn't see you pop in here. What's going on, buddy? So yeah, that's awesome, and I totally get the whole thing. It's like some of these. Like Don McTagg and some of these digital artists, when they do it, or even, the traditional colors, it's just like, holy crap, how can you do that with, I'm sitting there, looking at my 80 whatever colored pencil set, and then I get this art from Ed Williams that's in colored pencils. I was like, dude, you didn't use colored pencils on that. I don't see any of the lines from the lead.
Yeah. I don't see like the scribble texture on there. How is it so even? I don't know.
Yeah, and so it's awesome. It's definitely an awesome process, and that's what motivated me to start Art Exposure. Is like I love watching these artists. Like I could literally sit here all day and just like watch artists do art, because it's one thing to see the awesome cover when it comes out, for the book, and be like, holy crap, that's beautiful, you made that, that's awesome, I love it. But then to sit there and see somebody with a blank piece of paper, they put down their blue lines, then they put down the pencils, and then they do the inks, and then they go through and erase all the pencils, and you're like, holy crap, man. And then they start coloring it, and you're like, whoa, you get CB Zane, he brings out this huge fat Sharpie black marker, and you're like, oh my God, you're going to touch this piece of art with this. And every week I give him trouble about it. He goes live on Monday nights, and every week it seems, we get to this real crucial part of the art, and he breaks out this ginormous, like the fat boy black Sharpie. And I'm like, oh man. Like, and it's like, it's got to be nerve wracking, because like I screw up and all the time, you get that little arm jerk, and it's like, oh, there goes that. But it's like, as an artist, you're making this piece and you got like 10 hours in it. Like, what do you do when that happens?
Yeah.
Whiteout?
You keep your white pens nearby, and your pro white in your brush, or some white gouache, because you can't ditch it once you're that far in. Yeah,
and my art is super super awesome. It's stick figures is basically all I can draw. It's so my hat's off to these artists when I see them do some of the stuff. I think the best piece I've done has been, let's see, it's in here. Oh, here it is. My stuff pool, Naughty Fairy Strippers.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that one on Facebook. That's great.
So, and it's fun. We run with that every week. And then, then my thing is Photoshop. So with stuff, I do this Jersey circular, leave it for the colorist, and we give that. Whoop! Why is this clicking on the stuff above it? This computer, I'm gonna smack it. Hello. There we go. We give it 5 exploding blue balls. Sorry, my computer has some kind of dyslexia going on. It did that earlier when I hit the first video. It's not going away. All right, let's fix this.
I didn't do it. It's not my fault.
Yeah, it's not your fault. Go away now. Thank you.
Yeah, as almost a joke tier of sorts, and is spawned because like John's the artist, so he has some stuff in there for like sketch covers and custom illustrations and this stuff, and it was like, what can I contribute as a reward? Like what can I do? And so John was like, well, why don't you do custom illustrations too? And I was like, okay. And so like in the Kickstarter, like in the reward section, it has, I put an example of my wonderful drawing so that people know what to expect. And surprisingly, I got 4 people that signed up for that. So I got to do 4 drawings now that are not going to be super great, but I'm going to do my damnedest.
Yeah, I mean, and at least the expectations aren't too incredible. Like nobody sees a comic book and they're like, that's what I'm getting from Ben. So I mean, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, exactly. So it'll be a little freeing.
Yeah,
it'll be very low expectations, I guess.
Well, and that's the funny thing too. I did that for mine because I was like, what can I do for day one backer bonuses? Because Kickstarters are expensive. When it gets down to it, after the fees, and when you're doing small print runs, you have to pay the premium. You don't get the super low print price on it. And it's like, trying to figure out what to do for the day one backer bonus. And that's when I came up with, every week I do the stuff pool, making fun of stuff on this Thursday night draw. And I'm like, I'm going to do the day one backer bonus. I'm going to draw everybody a stuff pool drawing. And so now I have, I think, 29 drawings to come up with.
Oh, wow.
I gotta do, which is totally fine. I'm happy about that. I'm happy that it's 29. It's not 5. It's not 10. I'm glad that people are, excited about the project. And it's fun because you get to do your own take on the pieces, and you get to make something unique for somebody that, nobody else in the world is ever going to have. And you can cherish that, and you have something really cool, and I wanted to offer that to somebody. And I'm sure that's what you guys wanted to do, just offer it to them for supporting your project.
Yeah, and that was something that Ben brought up early on when we were talking about, putting limits on the illustrations or the sketch covers. It's like, how many do you want to do? And for me, it's like, you know what? To be honest, like, to fund this thing, I don't mind doing more work. Like I drew the whole comic for myself. I didn't take any sort of wage for it. So if it'll help bring the project to life, I'll draw all sorts. I'll draw for everyone. I just want to get the book out.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about, man, is getting that project out there, getting that passion of love out there. That's what happened.
Solving the mystery over there.
Yeah, so I downloaded that I downloaded those pictures because I was going to share them to the screen, and that's what was going on in the background that caused those to lag up. Is it was like download complete, and it was waiting for me to open it up. So yeah, we finally figured it out. Minutes later, why the computer was being nanner. All right, so we should be. There we go. Now we're working. Now we're cooking with gas. Yeah, you can write on here, Dan. You're good. We can see you. What's going on, buddy? Thanks for joining in. So yeah, here we are, guys. Space Oddities #1, and I'm gonna scroll down a little bit here and get to some of the art on here so you guys can see what this looks like. So there is the cover.
Yeah, it's weird. I've seen that picture so many times now because I've posted it so much on social media and done so much with it. It's like originally it was like, oh, that's amazing. Like it's like awestruck. Now it's like, oh, yep, there it is again.
Yeah, I'm
like, no.
I've had to stop posting it because I feel like I posted it in every which way I could on social media. Different text and I'm like, man, people are just gonna scroll by and say, oh yeah, it's that post again.
Yeah. And I love the black and white art. I mean, that was one of the things I wanted to touch on too. You guys had talked about, not dissing on black and white art. Some of the best books are in black and white. It's like, as long as the care goes into the story and goes into production, and it's something that the people are passionate about, there's a ton of good books. Belial #1 and Belial #2 just funded on Facebook. I want to say a week and a half ago is when it ended. And, that book is phenomenal. And even though, the book is black and white, gray wash sometimes, brings out the best pieces, especially for like horror books. Like when you're Roadkill Rampage that Rodney Fike did with Haslam Productions is an awesome book because it's like it's got that old gritty horror feel to it, and this being kind of like a 80s space kind of TV show book, black and white does justice. Like in this picture here, I love it.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that one get colored though too.
Yeah. Oh, I bet. And then you got your lovely people here. You got Dirk, and now how do you pronounce it? Is it pronounced George?
It's Jorge.
Jorge McSan.
Okay. So I was reading it whenever I got that press release that you sent over, and I'm like, is it Jorge or is it George or is it George? I'm like, I forgot to ask you guys.
George. Yeah, and I've worked with a couple of people named Jorge that spell it like that too, and sure enough, we always just call him George or Georgie. It's very common.
And then there's Dan.
There he is. There's the man.
There's his mugshot. Because apparently, I'm just kidding. Because apparently he got striked on Facebook, so I guess he got put in jail there for a little bit. So I figured I'd crack a joke about it.
Yeah, I've had Facebook conversations with him. I know he's got a sense of humor.
Oh, I'm sure he does. And then this guy, Danny, don't tell me that's not why you got banned for a week. What are we going to do with you guys? I apologize if you guys hear screaming in the background. My toddler's throwing a fit, and I might have to go deal with it here in a minute. I got a 4 and a 5-year-old. So
yeah, they're not always the most compliant.
Nope.
No, they're not, and they pick and they pull and they try to get away with as much as possible. So that's always fun.
And it's not going to change moving forward.
No, it's the game. Yeah, they get more and more sophisticated.
Yeah,
and how they can try and pull one over on you.
Thanks, guys, for the vote of confidence. I really needed that.
It was funny as my daughter was getting older. It seemed like every year, like when I'd complain about something to my friends, they'd be like, "How old is she?" I'm like 3. It's like, oh, that's the worst. She turns 4, and they're like, how old is she? 4. They're like, yeah, that's the worst age. I'm like, oh boy, here we go.
They're just the worst. The best at the same time. It's amazing.
Oh man, and I'm telling you, Facebook AI is no joke. That's for sure. You guys want to talk about funny thing with Facebook AI? So I'm like admin and moderator of like 15 groups, and one day I tried sharing one of these videos out. I shared it to 2 groups that I'm an admin of. I didn't just like spam it out. I shared it to 2 groups, and it told me, "Sorry, we can't post. You may be spamming these pages." I'm like, I'm the freaking admin. How am I going to spam my own page? I'm like, Facebook AI is the smartest. But yeah, man, people tell you, oh, the tearful 3s, and it'll get better when you get to that point. I'm like, I don't know what you all were smoking. Like, you must have had some edibles, or you must have been going to the dispensary at least twice a week once they hit past 3, because it doesn't get any better.
You just get more hard and jaded. Like you just get more used to it.
You're like, oh, you guys.
More screaming. Cool.
Yeah. I feel like for my parents, like things really cooled down around like 22. Then we can all have chats and be nice to each other.
22.
Oh man, I'm not gonna make it that long.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it gets a lot easier once they're not living in your house.
Yeah, probably.
It's just a lot easier to get along with someone.
Yeah.
Well, that's the problem, though, man. I mean, that's the thing that's hard. With Roderick, that's been a lot of what happened with my project. Is Roderick had open heart surgery at a week old, and then he had open heart surgery at 2.5, and then he had a cardiac cath at 11 months, and then he had one like literally a month before his second open heart surgery, and it's like, so we don't know if he's going to live that long because of his heart condition or because of the way he acts sometimes. But
yeah, he's not doing himself any favors.
No, I'm telling you, I'm going to be the one that has a heart attack dealing with it. Because, well, and see, that's the problem, with him having that kind of condition. I'm ADHD. I have it since I was a kid, and I just learned to cope with it and bottle it up and use it for creativity. And, he's ADHD, and then being a heart kid, it makes you ADHD as well, because when they put you on the heart-lung bypass, somehow it does something to your brain when you're on the heart-lung bypass that like 98% of kids that are heart kids are ADHD. So he's got like a double dose of it, and I think that's what the problem is.
Extra jazzed.
Overdrive. He's gone Super Saiyan. I mean, what else can I say? So, yeah, I mean, I love this project. Like, when I was reading through, that's what I was trying to pull up now is, even in black and white, going through and reading the short part of the book, I absolutely loved it. I was cracking up. I was laughing. Just the heist part of it, when they were trying to heist. Can I say what it is without spoiling anything?
Yeah.
So when they're trying to heist the leather jacket off of a corpse, and he falls into the capsule and it closes on him. I was dying laughing. I was like, this is the funniest shit I've ever seen, because it's like, as I read it, I'm imagining one of these 80s 90s shows that ran that where they were super corny, and you always knew the guy was going to pull off some stupid shit and get caught up in the dumbest thing possible, and it does. He gets launched off into space, towards the sun or whatever that they're launching him at, and it's like, oh yeah, this guy's screwed.
Well, and that's one thing that's so much fun to write, in my opinion, is like, you've got characters who are great at everything, and they they're just automatically awesome. That's fun. Like James Bond and Batman are fun for that, but to write somebody who thinks they are that person, but they're not, and like they act as if they are, and they eventually get there, as well, but it's not without more hiccups. Like that's so much more fun to draw or to write somebody who's not as good at what they do as they think they are.
Yeah. Dirk's kind of like when you're walking down the street and you trip and then you stand up real quick and look around
and make sure nobody's looking.
Everybody noticed it and just kind of try to play it off cool. That's like his whole that he's that personified.
Yeah, or like Pee Wee Herman biffing on his bike and standing up and saying, "I meant to do that."
Yeah,
and then rides away. Like,
yeah. Yeah, and that's what's funny about it is it's got the comical factor to it because, like you said, it's like if you imagine Sherlock Holmes or you imagine James Bond or one of these real high tech characters like Inspector Gadget, they're gonna go in and take care of it. Only they're a complete moron half the time, and they do stupid shit, and you're just like, "Oh, this isn't gonna pan out well for you, buddy." And he's all like, "I'm gonna do this," and then something just absolutely hilarious happens, and I love that. That's exactly the kind of satire that I love, and so it really hit home with me reading through that. I absolutely loved it. So I definitely am going to say, so far, you get 5 exploding blue balls on the
nice.
Buses. Yeah,
I'll take it.
Yeah, one of the most gratifying parts of this was when I think it was right after we got the first book, because we did a print run on that, just the cold open there.
Yeah,
it sent you. Back for we were doing some cons and stuff back when there were cons.
Yeah,
but
the fabled comic convention.
Yeah,
so we had some of those printed up, and my daughter was reading through it, and I just like standing over in the corner, and I could just hear her giggling as she was reading through it, and I was like, yes, that is what we were shooting for. Awesome. That is it was like, all right, I think we might have done it.
Yeah, because we think we're funny, but our opinions are definitely biased.
Yeah, and that's always the case. I mean, but it's one thing to be biased, and it's one thing to be passionate. And it's like, man, I know this is good, and then you hear other people say it's good, and it really helps build that morale to go out there and say, we did it finally. We did this project. We're doing it. We're putting it out there. You guys need to check this shit out, because if you miss out, I guarantee you're going to regret it, because it's badass. And I definitely have to say, if you guys don't get in on this project, you're going to miss out on some funny stuff, because I absolutely loved it. And you guys have been watching me for a long time. You know how I am about stuff, and my sense of humor. If I like it and you got my kind of sense of humor, you're going to love this book. It's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. I'd say that wholeheartedly. I don't endorse a lot of stuff, but that when I do, I'm behind it 100%. But it's just, it's just funny. I mean, the whole leather jacket thing just cracked me up the most, is because here they are. They fly across the universe to go to this funeral just to rip off a leather jacket. And it's just the way that they're talking about this leather jacket. It's like it's been 50 billion years since cows existed, and it's from
cows not around anymore.
Yeah, it's like, he's like, oh man, it's from this animal that used to exist way back in the day. It was some land animal that ate grass. And he's like, it's genuine leather. We've got to get it. I mean, it's just as funny. I can't say enough good things about it. And I'm going to, for those of you that are watching, I'll pop the link in here again for you guys. Definitely check this out. It is a fun ride. And I just still can't stop laughing about it. I don't want to keep talking about it, because I'll end up giving out some stuff.
It's the cold open. Like, that's the whole point. Is like it's that's why we send it out as the preview, because it's kind of its own little thing before you get into the main story of the book. So
yeah. And it's 8 of 40 pages, so there will be plenty more to get your eyeballs on.
Yeah, and this is the first book of what we're planning on being like a 6-issue series. So so this is the whole thing is kind of the introduction chapter of the whole story.
Well, that's awesome, and that's the best part of hearing about it too. Is you hear people, they'll pitch a project like this, and they're like, we've got 1.5 million issues projected, but so you guys are only going to do like a short 6-issue run with this. And
well, that's the initial plan. Like, I know some people frown on the whole the movement of like writing for the trade, but the first 6 issues is our first beginning to end story. I try to equate it to like if we were doing a Space Oddities movie. That's what this first 6 issues would be. It would be our first movie, and then by the end, you've learned some lessons. You've learned about the characters. They've grown in certain ways, but it's completely open-ended to where, they could go on another adventure, and they should go on another adventure together. But this will be the first like beginning to end story.
There absolutely is.
I mean, I see absolutely no reason why Space Oddities couldn't have exploding blue balls in there.
Yeah, I'm all for it, man. This is, and this is the sad part of this. The reach of this has gone well outside of the show and the Blue Balls reviews, and has proliferated itself everywhere. Like I get on, Sean Forney's art show, and then they're like, "Hey, Blue Balls Entertainment's here," and I'm like, "Oh my god, here we go," And then Sean and everybody. So we have to have fun with it. We start talking about Sean Forney's Scarlet's Field Guide to Cryptids and Other Creatures. I'm like, "Hey man, do you guys have any exploding blue balls in there?" And so they did. They have the blue wisp in there. Hey Lewis, thanks for joining us. How's it going, buddy? Great to have you here tonight. So we're just talking with these fine fellas here about Space Oddities #1 and how much fun it is. I popped the link in there, man. You should definitely go check this book out. I know you would love it. It is hilarious. So it's awesome. How does it feel now? That's one of the one questions I definitely want to ask you guys. How does it feel now after, so much time has passed and you guys have had this idea brewing in your bodies and you've just been just dying to get this out of you, and now it's on paper and now you're close to getting to send it off to the printers? How does it feel?
It's exciting. Like it feels real. I mean, like it always felt kind of real because we'd been doing it, but like it's cool that it's not just something that is between us or in our head now. Like it's not something just like that we've been working on. Like it's something that we're about to send out to the world at large, and that there's a bunch of people that are willing to put down money to get it and check it out, and it's exciting.
It's kind of like being a comedian and having that funny joke in your head that nobody knows.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
then it kills when you're on stage.
Yeah,
and I think the coolest part about it is that it makes the whole series a bit more real too. Like like once we've gotten this out and people have it in their hands, like we're it feels like more of an obligation than a hobby, I guess, than to keep moving forward, which is cool.
Yeah, there's extra motivation, and I one thing that I really love about this now, we talk a lot about how like now is the right time, and it's like we didn't talk about it like, what, now we are prepared to do this. Like we were always prepared, we just didn't before. But I'll look through my old sketchbooks and see the evolution of the characters, especially the female lead, because Dirk and Jorge have been there since the very beginning, and Woody. But the female lead has gone through several different iterations, and one thing that really cemented the whole like now was the right time was that we found an iteration of this female lead that we really felt for and that we could get behind and that we could tell the story of. Before she was just kind of another nebulous character that was part of a cast, and we'll figure it out later. At one point she was a super space captain, another point she was
like a hologram.
Hard light hologram, and now she feels real, and I feel like we're telling a good story with her, not just the two goofball characters that we started with.
And not only that, like this first arc is pretty much her story.
Yeah,
like the story that we landed on centers around her, so it makes her more, she is a full and complete character. For a long time it was just a placeholder almost.
Yeah.
Like this is a cool idea, kind of.
Yeah, if this story has a hero's journey, she is the hero in it.
Hey Wendy, thanks for popping in. So it's awesome. So I mean, I get what you're saying. So it's kind of like an evolution. You started out here with these few characters and you had an idea, and over the years you brought in more characters, and it evolved from these two guys to a full universe. And it's like now that you're here and it's finally time, it's become something much bigger than it was at the beginning. And that's always awesome to see too, is not only that you're able to create a universe, but to expand upon it and bring somebody a full cast right off the bat. And that's definitely awesome. Sorry, I'm squinting at the comments. They're really tiny. Well, I wear contacts, so every once in a while you get one that gets kind of like, ew. I'm gonna try to pull this up here real quick. Give me just a second.
Hey, I'm not going anywhere.
We got all the seconds in the world.
All of the seconds in the world.
Ben, go grab a guitar. Like we can do some interlude music now.
So something I did want to ask you guys too. So what kind of characters did you guys follow growing up? Like, what were some of your favorite genres of, and not to say superheroes, but what was your favorite books and comic books growing up? Did you have any that really stuck out?
Superheroes. No. No, I mean, I was a superhero kid for sure. I mean, Superman and Batman and Spider-Man, but outside of that, like one of my big influences for this project is Indiana Jones. I'm a humongous Indiana Jones fan. The structure of their stories, the character himself, those are my type of adventure stories, harkening back to the old like pulp adventures. So we were, I mean, it's probably getting old at this point that we keep saying that this book is meant to be like a Indiana Jones meets Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, because that's really what we do. Like, we want a good adventure story, but we also want the goofball comedy of something like Hitchhiker's Guide. And I know, hey, there's a say. I mean, that's one of Ben's.
And Hitchhiker's Guide was a huge thing for me when I was a kid. I probably read through that full series 5-6 times.
Are you sure it wasn't 42 times? Because that's the answer to life.
Yeah, not yet. That'll be my life goal, to get to 42 times through the whole series by the time I die.
See, and that's what I love, and that's another thing that we click on. I love, pulp adventures. That's what it's all about. The old, 80s, late 80s, the early 70s, the pulp adventures are where it's at. It's like you got this little bitty spotlight of the story about this adventure that goes on, and there's all this crazy shit that happens along the way, and sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's not fun, sometimes it's sad, and it's like they had characters that you could get behind, that you could empathize with, and that you could really follow and understand their struggles and the things that they were trying to attempt, and you could have fun at the same time doing it. And Indiana Jones was awesome like that too. That was one of the first sets of comic books that I got when I was a kid. Is I got trades of the Young Adventures of Indiana Jones, I believe is what they were called. I still have them.
Yeah, and those even call back to like the old time radio and like pre superhero days of like Doc Savage and the Shadow and stuff, like even back in the 30s. Like it was so pure back then.
It was,
and it's not hyper realistic. It's just it's a fun adventure where some of the time you just throw realism out the window and say it would be cool if there was like a minecart chase in the middle of this movie. Like, why would you have all these minecarts going around and going like, don't worry about that, it'll be fucking cool.
It's an adventure.
Just enjoy it.
Yeah, I can play that if you guys want to see it. Ask and thou shall receive. I'll bring it up. Give me just a second.
We're gonna play because we've got the cold open like animatic, and we have the Kickstarter promo video.
Yeah, I think somebody was looking for the promo video. It seemed like, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm happy to. Please give me just a second, and I'm bringing it up right now, and I will play it for you guys. I exited out of it. Yep.
Logging back and finding the thing, and
fired. Well, no, it's really waiting on this to load. I don't know. Ever since, like we were talking about beforehand, ever since that review show that I did last Saturday, this thing has a mind of its own. I don't know if I probably need to reset the internet. That's probably what it is. I think what happened when it came back up is it is only running at half mast or something.
It's possessed.
It's possessed. There's a ghost in the machine.
Yeah, one of my other big influences when I was a kid was like Monty Python. I watched a lot of Monty Python, Benny Hill, and British comedies, and and they very much influenced my humor. I'm a big fan of absurdism and silliness.
Yeah, and so guys, this is fully drawn. It's fully done. Everything the only thing that needs to be done is it needs to be finished colored. So you're not going to be waiting for them to finish this project as far as writing and drawing goes. All of that is already done. It is at the colorist.
Yep, the line art is done. I just have a little cleanup to do as I send it off to Dan, and then lettering it. But yeah, all the line art is complete.
Yeah, because John works for free, so we didn't need to raise money for him to do work. Just crack the whip, draw faster.
So you guys had them locked in a room, like, we need you to draw this other sheet. Here's a Frito. Draw 2 lines and we'll give you another one.
Yeah, just dangle the carrot.
Dangle the carrot.
I think Ben might wish that he could have done that, because I probably would have gotten it done faster.
I'm making a note of that for issue 2.
Yeah, make it Funyuns. We'll be in business.
I can just see it now. You're setting up a small room with like one of those bank teller tubes, and like every time you get so much work done, a Funyun comes down.
Yeah,
I mean, we've got the small room. We're in it right now. We've got our podcast booth, so I nobody can tell really. I hope I don't make anybody sick with this, but we are actually in our booth right now. So there's Ben sitting right in front of me.
So we've got little small booths here. I just got to put a lock on the door and figure out some sort of rewards device.
I did not share sound. I will have to reshare. Hold on, guys. I see what happens when I get to talking. I get sidetracked, and I'm like, stop screen share. Let's try this again.
It's very easy for us. We are just sitting here talking.
Yep. I don't know why it's so hard for you.
Well, it won't be so bad once I get an upgrade here on the studio computer here. My 10-year-old Chromebook.
I haven't done any streaming stuff, so if I was trying to do what you're doing, I would be so completely lost.
Well, the fun part is everybody jokes about the technical issues that I have on the Chromebook, but it's here's the thing. So I started writing this book 10 years ago on this Chromebook. This is what I asked my wife for my birthday. I've had this idea for a long time, and so not only was I live on the Chromebook last Tuesday when I launched the book that I started, and I finished on my Chromebook.
It's seen some shit with you.
Yeah,
it's seen some shit. So
that's cool. 10-year-old Chromebook though. You're due for a new one.
Yeah, I am. Well, so here's the thing. So StreamYard only works really in Chrome. Like you can't use like Internet Explorer or any of the other ones. Like Chrome is really the only one that it works good in. It works in Safari sometimes, like decent on the phone. So I have a brand new laptop, but even running it in Chrome for some reason, it'll just freeze up. I'll be like talking and it'll be like, and you can still hear me, but I'm like froze up. And so that's how I got the name Freeze Frame. So, shit happens, right?
Freeze Frame and his exploding blue balls.
It's Freeze Frame and his exploding blue balls. Yeah, I'm telling you. So I'm going to mute our mics. So I'm going to see. Hopefully we should have sound on here.
Okay.
Let me try opening YouTube. It doesn't seem like it wants to load from there. It happens. Well, I don't know why Kickstarter I can't even get mine to load on there on here sometimes. Let's see, YouTube. Oh no, Danny puts a link in the comments. Let me grab that.
Yeah, I've got it. It is on YouTube itself, so it's I think if you search Space Oddities, it's the only thing I've posted on it.
Cool.
I don't know,
makes
man.
it easy for me.
That David Bowie really screwed things up for us. Anytime you want to get close to Space Oddity, and it just comes up with his bullshit. R.I.P. David Bowie.
Yeah.
Too soon.
Yeah, where is Stuff Wilson tonight? He's been awfully quiet. No, it's not crashing. It just doesn't like video. You gotta remember, Danny, I'm streaming and I'm trying to pull up stuff, and I got 2 Kickstarter tabs open in the background, and I have
a Chromebook from 2010.
From 2010,
that's impressive.
It is pretty impressive. It's over here screaming. It's like
it's like 100 years old in electronics age.
Yeah, it is. Oh, that's the worst too. You know, I can go out tomorrow and buy a new one, and it'll be like, yeah, this is already updated.
Mm-hmm.
Oddities. 4 hours later.
So do you blow stuff up regularly? Is that like one part of your shtick?
Yes. So
because that's awesome. I love blowing shit up.
I do too, man. That's so when back in like 2000, it was 98, somewhere between 98 and 2000. Like I've always blown stuff up, like in video games, like literally that you could have like 400 missions going on, and I'm the guy that's like putting 400 C4 packs in like the bottom of a building just to see what'll happen when you blow it up. Or, you know, Grand Theft Auto, where I just run around with a rocket launcher just blowing shit up. Like, who knew there was missions in the game? Like, I'm just blowing up cars and stealing cars and jumping shit. I mean, that's what it's all about. So, you know, my screen name from way back then was Russ Explode. And then I also had... so that's what my emails ended up being. That was what my gamer tag was. And then, you know, several years later, I ended up going to school for mining engineering with explosives emphasis. Nice. So I've done some building demos, some bridge demos, some blasting at quarries, trench work, portal blasting. I've done a ton of stuff. We've worked with landmines. So, like, yeah, I love to blow shit up. So when it came to coming down to a studio name, I'm all about stuff having meaning to it. Like, you know, like the books with heart part, you know, it's kind of like a symbolism of my son and the, you know, the passion that I have for the projects that I'm working on. But, you know, yeah, I was like, Russ Explode Studios all the way. Like, we're going to do this. There's going to be big ass explosions. And so the explosion, the actual intro video was 4th of July this year. So the family knows that every year Russell's going to blow something up. So one year we had one of those camping toilets. I blew one of those up like 50 feet up in the air until I got a trillion pieces. And then the following year was a Hoover vacuum. And then the year following that was a toaster oven that put a big dent in the hood of my old truck. I got that on video. You hear my nephew like right at the age where, you know, their voice starts to crack and they start getting the deep voice, and you hear, "Oh my God, move out of the way!" And it's real high pitched, and it's like, dude, you sound like a girl. Like the freaking explosion part of the video is funny as hell because this toaster oven just gets the shit demolished. But then you got like him right at freaking puberty with this high pitched voice, and I'm like, that makes it all the much better. He's like, "Shut up, I hate you. I don't even talk about that video."
Yeah,
so
oh, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say we had a buddy when we were younger who used to go to pyrotechnics conventions every year. That would just you know, they'd teach you all about building your own explosives and stuff, and at the end of the week, they'd have a big pyrotechnics exhibition. So we blown up, like, I remember we blew up one of your guitars.
Oh yeah,
didn't we blow up the organ?
We did. We had a full like electric organ that we blew up. That was pretty cool.
TV, I remember once.
Microwaves, couple microwaves.
we will fully back you on the fun of explosions.
Yeah, explosions and fire, boys' best friends.
And so that's what I did this year. So like everybody undermines the explosive and flammability of flour. Like it's super flammable as long as it's airborne. So, back in when we did the pyrotechnic shows, that was how they make those big mushroom cloud fireballs for the shows, is they use flour or non-dairy creamer.
Yeah, non-dairy creamer. I remember discovering that when I was in like junior high. I'm like, oh, this shit's like
Yeah.
in a packet.
Get out of here, Ed. I tried on YouTube too, and it just won't do it. She's giving it all she's got. She can't do it, Captain. She's giving it all she's got. Yes, I have found my soulmates, man. This is what it's all about, blowing shit up. So yeah, non-dairy creamer is highly, highly, highly flammable. If you put it in a straw and like blow it over a candle, it's like a flamethrower. So I get this idea, and I'm like, all right, we're gonna build a Cremora bomb like I used to back in pyrotechnics, where we would take a 55-gallon drum. We would, back then when you had the good stuff, C4 stuff that I legally could use. I can't use that now, so I had to use a one of those mortars you buy from the fireworks store.
Mm-hmm.
And so we used to put C4 in there, and then a 55-gallon bag of non-dairy creamer, and then a little bit of gasoline, and it looked like a freaking nuke went off. And so I'm like, we're going to recreate this. So I took like a 5-gallon bucket, and I put one of those mortars in there. I put a 5-pound bag of flour on it and about, 2 or 3 ounces of gasoline. And I was like, oh, everybody watch this. This is going to be awesome. And they're like, it's flour. And then when that freaking explosion went off, everybody was like, holy shit, that was cool. Does anybody else have any more flour? So we ended up building another one. And that was the second one that I videotaped, because the first one, it wasn't quite as dark out. So even if I would have taped it, it wouldn't have come out well. Yeah. And that's why it's kind of so shaky too, is because my 5-year-old son decides he's going to get off the porch and go running towards it right as after it went off. So at the end, when the camera kind of goes like this, that's me going, oh, no. See, I edited out the 15 seconds of, get the F away from that. You're not going up there. So there's a little bit of editing going on that happened right after that. But no, dry. Yeah, asking for a friend. Get out of here. Danny just messaged me. I can tell you all about it. So yeah, I mean, it's a blast, literally. Yeah. It's a blast.
Yeah, the little powdered packets of non-dairy creamer that you can get at like the coffee shop or McDonald's. Yep. And those.
How did I never know about this?
I have no idea.
38 years old and I'm just learning about this.
I remember figuring that out, thinking this is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah. See, it's all about the friends that you know, man. That's what it's all about. I mean, yeah.
I had like a little, what was it? It was like a little bottle with a tip on it that I'd fill with that stuff, and you could just like squeeze it and it would like puff out, and you could just make fireballs all day long.
Yeah, like one of those bulb suckers.
Yeah.
Yep. Little mini flamethrower. You can pretend you're the Terminator. I'll be back.
Yeah, we used to like soak tennis balls in gasoline and play like flaming tennis and all kinds of reckless things that kids should not do.
Yeah.
But super fun.
Yeah. We won't talk about the tennis ball filled with self-strike match heads.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I remember when I figured out that like I had one of those old Eagle pellet guns. And I figured out that a Strike Anywhere match head was the exact same size as the pellets. So
explosive rounds.
Yeah, so you could load those in there from a distance and like soak something in gasoline, or like the homemade napalm with the gasoline and the styrofoam with dissolved in it, and just shoot that at something and ignite it from 40 feet away. It was amazing.
Well, you've got property, and it is not dry anymore.
Yeah, burn season just opened. Oh, I think he's yelling at the kids.
And then it got awkwardly silent.
But yeah, fire and explosions.
Yeah.
Man after my own heart.
Yeah, fire, explosions, and comic books.
I apologize about that. I had to lay down the law.
Yeah, and it happens.
Yeah, he's in there banging on the door, yelling he's got to go number 2, and he's just he wants to see. He finds out that I have these live shows, and then he's like, he wants to be a camera whore and come out here and be like, hi everybody, I'm a celebrity. So yeah, I mean, yeah. So that's always been my thing, blowing up stuff, man. I don't know how I still have all my fingers, but I do. I have all 10 of them.
Yeah, well,
Knock on wood.
that's why that's why I tell my wife all the time. It's like, you can do stupid stuff smartly. Like you can do dangerous things, but do it safely. Doesn't you don't have to be reckless.
Yeah, the question I would always ask when somebody would try to keep me from doing something stupid again is like, how many times have I died from this? Like, how many times have I done this, and how many times have I died?
Yeah, my ratio is pretty good.
Yeah.
My ratio is really good.
That's a good record.
Well, and it's so much fun. I mean, when we were kids, we wanted to destroy army figurines, and back then we had M80s, and like you could really F up some, toy soldiers.
Let him say hi so he'll go.
No, you're not saying hi because that's what you want to do. I'm not doing it. Go to bed.
Good night.
Sorry.
No. I get it. Like sometimes all kids want is to win.
Yeah.
Like, nope,
And you can't let it happen because one
winning.
time it happens, and that's the way that it's always got to be. So
You gotta pick your battles.
yeah, you got to pick your battles. So yeah, back then we had M80s, and we could just tear shit up. I mean, just like lay out a whole freaking 100 army men and just blast them all, be left as like arms and legs. And then as we got older, they're like, oh, these are really bad. You can't use these. And so you get these firecrackers, that are half as potent. And
they
now
say like M80 or M100 on the side of them, but they're not.
Yeah,
they're not.
Like,
Sparklers
in there.
You get them and they're the same freaking size. And it's so funny. You turn it to the side, you peel that little plastic cap off, and it's like only 1/10 of the firecracker is actually loaded. The rest of it's just a hollow tube. It's like, oh yeah, here I thought I was buying this big badass firecracker, and it's really only the size of a snap and pop, and it looks like it's the size of a freaking tube of chapstick.
Yeah, if you want any good firecrackers these days, you got to roll your own.
That's right, roll your own, man. So yeah, and that was what was always fun when we were kids, was blowing that stuff up. And it's like as we got older, we got all this crap. And like Black Cat came out with those firecrackers with those freaking paper wicks that are like a 0.2 milliseconds, so you can't hold them in your hand and throw them.
Doesn't stop me from trying.
It doesn't me either. So yeah, I mean that was the great thing as a kid. It's like now as adults, it's like army figures.
I destroyed all of my G.I. Joes.
Oh yeah,
G.I. Joe's, Master of the Universe. Like I had a lot of bitchin' action figures, and I absolutely destroyed every single one of them.
Yeah, didn't you have a He-Man you melted with a lighter and like stuck a nail in?
Yeah,
yeah. I remember
I put one in the microwave once, and his arms went all melty.
Oh, that's great. So I gotta ask then. So since you guys are solving the explosions, are there any massive catastrophic explosions we can look forward to that go on in Space Oddities besides exploding blue balls?
Not in this issue, but there will definitely be something that blows up.
Yes, yeah. We in a couple issues we've got a disgraced ex space hero, like harkening back to the old like bubble helmet, like 60s sci-fi space heroes. And there will definitely be some explosions when that happens.
Oh, that's awesome.
They're not quite the same on the comic book page.
Yeah, no, you don't feel them.
But how great would that be? Like, we need to invent that where you're like reading a book or you're reading a comic book, and there's just like like those greeting cards, when you open them, they play music, but when you turn to the page and there's this massive explosion,
blast.
Yeah, it's got what, haptic feedback. The book starts to shake and it like rattles your house.
Yeah, like a puff of air, so it blows your hair back.
Whoa! And that's the best part about explosions, man. That's the best part, is feeling it, the air blast. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. It's like every time. And that was, working with big stuff, working with dynamite and nitro and AMFO, ammonium nitrate fuel oil is all it is. Working with ANFO, it's like, setting off these large shots or even demoing a building. It's like, it's awesome hearing the sound and seeing the building fall. But it's like, no one will ever understand the feeling of the air blast when it hits you and your clothes pull back against you and you feel that quick vibration. and it's like, man, I think I was almost too close this time.
I've only been around it a couple times when doing houses where we had to blast rock for the foundation.
Yeah.
And we hired a company to do it, but being on site when that was going on was cool.
Yeah, and that's
so
something I appreciate in movies too, when you see that, because like when they do that, like cool guy walking away from the explosion and there's not even any movement on them, it's like it's very clear that there's no explosion behind them. But you know, if you saw like all of a sudden like a gust of wind or like some clothing rattle or something, you're like, okay, they're trying to sell this.
It's like I liked the one from like the first Iron Man movie when he's standing there and like it just fucking like engulfs him.
Yeah, and like pushes him back off of his little mound.
Yeah, that's where it's at. And that's always the big thing, you know, and you know, people won't understand it unless they're like us, but you know, it's one of the things I talked about I want to say like 4 or 5 episodes ago when we were talking about movies, and I was talking about explosions. Like the worst thing in explosions, like in, you know, Jason, when he was in space and there was that big huge explosion, it was really loud. And it's like, you can't hear explosions in space. Mm-hmm. And then we got off on a tangent. Everybody's like, well, how do you know you can't hear explosions in space? And it's like,
yeah, have you ever seen an explosion in space?
Yeah. So, you know, under a complete vacuum with the absence of air and no air molecules to vibrate, there's no sound.
There would be a concussive blast. I mean, it would push the gases that expanded from the explosion out, and that might hit you. I don't know, maybe there'd be a sound involved when that hits your eardrum.
Maybe. I don't know.
Because there are gases expanding out still. I mean, it is in a vacuum, but they're, you know, the explosion is producing gases. That's what the explosion is.
Yeah. But that was what was cool about the Star Trek remake is, you know, when they did the remake of the original Star Trek series with Kirk as a kid, and they had that one scene where the torpedo's flying through space and you're like on like a camera drone that's flying alongside the torpedo, and it hits the craft and it explodes, and like there's no sound, but there's just like mass destruction. Like I was like, that is freaking awesome. Finally somebody did it where it's right. And I get what you're saying, you know, when the shockwave's going out and the actual gas cloud hits you, maybe you'll hear a sound then, but it's like, I don't know, that was everything to me seeing that.
Yeah, that's something like, I'm not very science brained, so that's something that I never would have even thought of until seeing something like that. And you're like, oh, I get it. That's a nice touch.
Yeah.
It was like that. What was it, like 6 months ago, that giant explosion in Beirut?
Yeah.
Like the video of that, like, I mean, it's not cool that it blew up and killed a bunch of people, but that was a hell of an explosion.
It was a wild explosion.
Like you see all the moisture in the air condensed around the edge of the shockwave and then dissipate right away. Like, holy shit, that was nuts.
Yeah, it's insane to the amount of, I mean, just like even with the gas station or anything like that, how much explosive force there is in there is just insane. And that's why I'm glad I don't work at a fireworks factory, because that's the kind of stuff that happens at those places on a yearly basis. You got some guy that
not that long ago that where it was just going off, man.
Yeah. Well, and then they get the fire going from the primary explosion, and that sets off multiple other explosions. Like they just clear it out for the week, and like this building just burns nonstop, and it's just explosion after explosion after explosion. And what usually starts it, and this is no joke, is somebody will fail to sweep their area, because like they have to sweep their area like every 5 to 10 minutes to get that little bit of powder residue, because it's got flash powder in it. Flash powder's got a really low flash rate. It's really easy to set off, and so they won't sweep, or somebody will be like, I'm going on a smoke break outside, and that little bit builds up and somebody steps on it and poof.
Yep. Little static charge somewhere is all it takes.
Hey man, pull my finger. So guys, it's been about an hour. I had a blast talking to you guys. I love the project. For anybody that's coming in late, anybody that's going back and watching this after the fact, definitely check out this project. The link is in the comments. I'm going to pop it in here again. We've got it right here. It's awesome. If you guys love the space opera, if you guys love the pulp style books and the pulp style shows, and you like comedy, this is funny. This is good. From what I've seen, it's great. Can't wait to see what the project has to offer and to see what happens next. I'm excited. It looks great, guys.
Hey, thank you very much.
Yeah, appreciate you having us on.
Yeah, and thank you for all the kind words and for the support. We definitely appreciate it.
You're welcome. And John, I'll give you a chance here. I'll give you the full screen if you want to tell people where they can find you and where they can find more stuff from you.
Oh no, I don't know if I can handle the full screen. Sorry, everybody. Now, you can find us, of course, the Kickstarter link there. We have a website if you want to sign up to our email list for updates. That is spaceodditiescomic.com. We have a podcast as well called Geeksploration, the podcast, which we are going to be recording with Russell here, getting him on there to talk about his project. So you can find that on Apple Podcasts, geeksplorationpodcast.com, any reputable podcatcher. We are also on Facebook, Geeksploration, the podcast page, Twitter, GeeksplorePod, and Instagram at Geeksploration Podcast. And the Instagram for Geeksploration Podcast is where we post all of our Kickstarter stuff, our Space Oddities stuff. We didn't create a new account for it. And you can find me on Instagram at Beefy McStudley. That is my personal one. It's all art. It won't be pictures of my food or family for the most part. It's just for art. And you can find Ben on Twitter. Nope, you just do the Geeksploration Twitter, don't you?
Yeah, well, and we do have the Space Oddities Co. At Space Oddities Co. is the Space Oddities Twitter.
That's right. Almost got it.
Yeah, too much social media.
See, that's why you guys need to do it easy, man. Just Russ Explode. Like, literally, if you Google Russ Explode, you'll find everything, man. You'll find 798titan.com, Russ Explode Studios, Russ Explode on Facebook. Like, my PlayStation Network, everything is Russ Explode.
Well, yeah, some jerk had geeksploration.com.
Really?
Yeah.
Not doing
it.
it.
Didn't even use it?
It's just sitting there. So we got Geeksploration Podcast.
Yeah, there was like some TED Talk in like 2014 that had something to do with Geeksploration. So there's a little something that exists with that term, but
on the bright side, I think if you Google it now, we've surpassed any of their stuff in search results. So suck it, dude, from 2007.
That's great, guys. Well, it was definitely awesome having you on. Everybody go check them out. Check out their work. Check out their podcast. Check out this book on Kickstarter now. 11 days left. $480 from funding. Help them reach that goal. Check out the preview that they have on there. It's good stuff. It's funny. I hope you guys definitely check it out. So if you guys want to hang out in the green room for a minute, I'm going to say my goodbyes, and I'll be back in a minute.
Sounds good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right, guys, it was a great show tonight. Had a lot of fun. Yeah, I met my soulmates on blowing stuff up, so we're definitely going to have to keep talking about that. But I appreciate y'all being here. I appreciate y'all chipping in and being a part of the conversation. Definitely check out this project. It is awesome. Like I said, they sent me a preview. It's great stuff. I love the jokes. And if you are a fan of some of the older TV shows and the older parody shows, this is definitely for you. Like he said, it's like a James Bond, only the guy has some stupid moments. So, and we all have those, or know somebody in our life who has those all the time. So definitely check it out, guys. Much love. Thanks for being here. Thanks for supporting, and thanks for checking it out. As always, Russ Explode Studios, books that'll blow your mind. I love you guys. Have a great week and be safe. I'll see you Tuesday.